From the Opubco Studios at Britain and Broadway, you're listening to a News OK podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a News OK Comics podcast. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with Kyle Roberts. We're here to talk about some of this week's biggest comic books, and a big one for Oklahoma comic book fans, Supergirl number 34.
That's right.
Written by Sterling Gates, who grew up in Tulsa and attended the University of Oklahoma. This is the first issue of his ongoing run on the title, which next month will tie into the new Krypton crossover with Action Comics and Superman. In this issue, he kind of resets Supergirl a little bit, doesn't invalidate anything that went before, but sets up a new status quo for the Girl of Steel. And I think it's a great-looking book drawn by Jamal Igle, and the storyline I enjoyed quite a bit as well. Kyle?
Yeah, and I mean, the illustrations are good, but what gets this for me is the writing. Mm-hmm. The writing really sells this story in this comic. Supergirl, you could really feel, I mean, she's not human, you know, she's Kryptonian, right, I guess, right. But you can really feel her humanity in this comic, and you know, I mean, she destroys stuff. People get upset. I don't want to ruin too much, but she kind of destroys a baseball field. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets upset at her, but it's like they need her, but at times when it's not in her convenience, you know, they shun her.
Yes.
So, but I could really feel her humanity in this comic.
Good dialogue from Gates. I thought nice. You know, really, it's a good package. They make a good team, Gates and Igle. I hope they're on this title for a good long run. Lots of callbacks to previous things, both in Supergirl history and recent DC history. It's all lined up very well. But at the same time, something that's done very nicely is if you don't know any of this, if this is the first issue of Supergirl you ever read, you can just pick it up. This is Superman's cousin. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
All right. Second book we're going to talk about this week, Batman R.I.P. This is number 680, part 5 of the R.I.P. storyline. This is a little hard to follow, but a lot is going on. It's a Batman-Joker showdown. The Black Glove storyline continues. The Batman of Zur-En-Arr. Bat-Mite continues to sort of give Batman advice. Is Bat-Mite actual M from the fifth dimension? Is he just a psychological problem made manifest? Left up to the reader to decide to some degree. But this train is pulling into the station. Batman RIP's really got some steam behind it now. I think I'll probably like this better reading it all together, but certainly people have enjoyed reading and puzzling over what clues Grant Morrison is leaving. Tony Daniel, his art, for me, in places is a little muddy, in places it's pretty good. I don't know if the confusion that comes from some of the art is intentional on the part of the writer. Perhaps it is. And there's a big twist at the end of this story as well that some people may have seen coming, but sets up a pretty interesting conclusion coming up in R.I.P. here shortly.
You think Joker fans are going to like this comic?
I think so. I mean, Joker is a key part of this. He's portrayed as a very murderous. He's I don't know, David Bowie looking almost individual, yeah, in this particular issue. So yeah, I think so. It's maybe a different take on the Joker than the very hands-off one, because he is very hands-on here. But yeah, I think Joker fans will like that one.
Sweet.
Let's get something for our X fans this week.
Cable on Marvel.
Yeah, now with 400% more X-Men, it says on the cover, because X-Force and Wolverine show up.
That's right. And Cyclops is in it, and obviously Cable is Cyclops' son, and he's 40 years in the future, something like that. And Bishop is trying to find him so he could kill the baby, and it's all kind of crazy, man.
From the end of Messiah Complex, the baby that Cable thinks will save humanity and Bishop thinks will destroy it. Ariel Olivetti does nice work on this title and the art. The storyline is pretty good. I'm not sure on Bishop's motivations. I maybe wish they made it a little more clear if we're supposed to think Bishop is just a raving psycho or if there's actually something to what he thinks. Because he's always been a heroic character pretty much in the past, even when we disagreed with what maybe he was doing. So I maybe like it if Bishop was a little more fleshed out, but it is a good-looking book. And
I'm almost thinking Bishop's a shapeshifter, because this doesn't seem like who Bishop is at all.
Doesn't seem like the Bishop of the past to you. All right, and then we're going to close out with one from Boom. This is Challenger Deep, number 2. Andrew Crosby is the creator of this. He's the guy who created Eureka, the television show, and Andy Schmidt, the former Marvel editor who was behind Annihilation, is writing it with him. And the storyline is there's a nuclear submarine called the Texas, which sinks into the deepest spot on Earth.
Of course.
It's on a sheet of methane ice. And if the nukes on the ship explode, it could cause a planet-wide disaster. So they call in Eric Chase, who is an oceanographer who is kind of sworn off deep sea diving after the death of his wife. They've got to bring him in to try and rescue these guys. It turns out there's somebody he knows on the sub, so he's more motivated to do it, but he's very reluctantly taking on this job. And in issue 2, he and his team start to see what's going to happen, what it's going to take exactly to get to this sub. Meanwhile, soldiers on the sub are trying to deal with their situation, see if there's anything they can do from their end to either keep themselves from dying or keep those nukes from blowing up, because they have a fail-safe device that after 72 hours the nukes will explode so they don't get into someone else's hands. However, since they're on the shelf of methane ice, that could have disastrous consequences. So that's where we're at in Challenger Deep. The art is by Chi, who has done some stuff, I believe, for IDW in the past. Pretty good look. It's a little murky, but probably being undersea, maybe murky is appropriate. And storyline-wise, I think it's got kind of that motion picture feel to it.
Yeah. Does this kind of remind you of some of the other stuff Boom Studios are putting out?
Yeah, in some way, like Station. Yeah, it's got some of that. It kind of gives you
like a Apollo 13 or TV film.
Yeah, this has got, maybe the kind of that Hunt for Red October kind of action going on. So I enjoyed Challenger Deep. My pick of the week is going to be by far Supergirl 34. That was my favorite read of the week and my favorite read of several weeks. I think if you have any affinity for either the Supergirl character or even a young person trying to deal with changes in their life, I mean, it works on several levels. I highly recommend checking that one out.
I'm going to go with Supergirl, too. We're not biased at all with Gates or anything.
But we both know Sterling, and we do like him, but I think even if I didn't know the creative team, I would put this at the top of the list for this week as a comic to check out.
Definitely.
For Kyle Roberts, I am Matt Price, and thanks for watching.